You are watching CIOTV by Enterprise IT World, a production of Accent Infomedia.
Hello and welcome to CIOTV.live, a sister concern of Enterprise IT World and Enterprise IT World, Middle East and Africa. At CIOTV.live, we try to understand various aspects of technology and practices. Technologies around cloud computing, data center, RPA, 5G, and a lot more. So also cybersecurity. And because cybersecurity these days creating havoc in the industry. Of course, there is one side, one world is completely engaged with physical work. And the other side, the other world is seeing a lot of cybersecurity attacks. So for that reason, we have invited a special guest to our channel. Her name is Dr. Lopa Basuu. She is senior cybersecurity leader, advisor to various cybersecurity boards in the region of Asia Pacific and MEA. So Dr. Lopa, most welcome to CIOTV.live. Thank you very much for taking time out and speaking to CIOTV.live.
Thank you, Sanjay and CIOTV. Hello all.
Ladies and gentlemen, to your knowledge, Dr. Lopa is a leading cybersecurity evangelist with 20 plus years of rich, versatile experience in the information security, data privacy, risk management, and governance. She is also an author, and she has, in her career, she has almost worked with all Fortune 50 organizations in various leadership roles. She is also a regular speaker, panelist, and a professional public domain expert at the same time with her own professional career. So what is the kind of trend you are seeing in the cybersecurity space?
Thank you, Sanjay. Trusting my capabilities, I will try to give just the best response to this question, because when it is coming to the cyber trends, there are different trends emerging continuously because it's a very dynamic industry. One of the area is geo-targeted phishing threat. We can see that it's continuously evolving. Sophisticated crafted cybersecurity attack specific to the sector, specific to the organization. We can see those kind of attack. Continuous emerging threat are related to the emerging technologies like machine learning, cloud, or any other robotics related technology. Financial sector is a kind of target for the cyber attack. Earlier, we always talk about the financial sector, but today, if you look at the hospital industry, hospital and medical industry, automotive industry, also at high risks or critical infrastructure, and they actually posing a much more higher threat on the life, because when it is coming to the financial, it is a sector. It's a financial damage to the people, but other sector also have a risk related to life, vulnerabilities related to IoTs and OTs. Then we can see that during the pandemic, the education system moved to online. And that is another emerging threat area. Compliance. We can see there are lots of compliance breaches happening due to some of the challenges. And above all, user awareness is a major threat in this cyber world, because if we look at, everybody is currently part of this digital ecosystem, connected ecosystem, but while they are actually using the product related to this ecosystem, they are not actually well versed about the risks associated with and how to maintain the hygiene to handle those risks effectively.
All right, Dr. Lopa, you said that there are various aspects of cybersecurity breaches these days, attacks these days. One side you said that geo targets, different geographies being targeted. Similarly, applications being targeted. The other one is that OEM specific applications. So Microsoft target, attacks are happening all across the world. Wherever Microsoft applications are existing, the attacks being happening. Similarly, SAPs and Oracles and other applications attacks are happening. This is becoming actually very, very sophisticated, very challenging also. So where do you see the role of the CIO? How he can safeguard the organization? Not only CIO, the CISOs particularly.
So, Sanjay, nothing related to specific OEM. The thing is that any technology which are in use having some inherent risks, and that need to be managed very effectively. So, very importantly, if you look at the specific targeted attack, the product which are more in use, obviously attacker will be targeting them more. So most importantly, for the CIOs and CISOs, it is important to understand while onboarding, I would say before onboarding the product, what are the inherent risks associated with product and what is their capability to handle those risks by building the security in different layer, or it could not be always a direct security layer, sometimes some compensatory layer, how one can handle that. Also managing the basic hygiene. There are certain basic hygiene. For example, if I'm not going to a huge product like, which is having a kind of, penetrating in every desktop, a small a product which is sitting in your gateway could be your IPS device or could be your SOC platform. Importantly, or maybe a firewall, while we are commissioning even those security devices, are we also focusing to configure the box security that time? Because the device which is going to give you security, going to protect you, is the device itself commissioned with the proper security norms or configured with the proper security requirements. Same way, when it is kind of a enterprise-wide software or something implemented, we need to understand what are the down areas related to security with that specific product, because there are certain time happen, there are requirement to open certain port which are vulnerable, certain surfaces which are vulnerable, or maybe, the way it is going to be served to the target audience or target customer range. So that is one of the area thorough risk assessment is required. Accordingly, they need to build the security portfolio around that.
Yeah, Dr. Lopa, see, every year or every month, the attack vectors are on rise. And of course, there is a very big challenge for the CISOs. When the CISO goes to the management and says that I need incremental budget, so there is a resistance from they know, of course, the management knows that there are inherent, vulnerability, inherent challenges from cybersecurity. It can completely change the entire reputation and finance of the organization. But there is a thought from the management that how much of budget you require and what all you require. Can you ensure that we are not breached 100%? What is your experience saying?
So when it is coming to the 100% security, right? There is nothing called 100% security in this world, because we are in a world where everything is vulnerable. So one can only ensure 99.999%, but there is a 0.1% or 0.001% chances that you may get breached at any point of time. And if somebody is going to say that, hey, you are 100% secure, then you are giving a false sense of security. Now, coming to the budget, very importantly, we need to study the pattern of budgeting of the organization. When we get inside the organization, we need to understand that, how they are actually allocating the budget for different function. What is the budget allocation pattern and the culture of the organization? Most importantly, most of the organization, it's a business driven or a compliance driven. So compliance always coming to the top. So it is always good to separate this compliance requirement, put it aside. Also, when it is coming to the manpower or professional power of the organization, some organization put that under the functional budget of each function. Some organization manpower budget sitting with the human resource. So look at that. Now, bucket it accordingly. Now you are end up with an area which is your CapEx and OpEx related area. Now in the CapEx and OpEx, there are two areas which we need to segregate. One is very specific to some business unit or specific to some function. And another is a kind of, overall security requirement. That is the security service. We need to look at a kind of, while budgeting every function as a client, internal function as a client. But there are certain activity of security operations which is required to give a basic security or extend a basic security or privacy to overall organization that will go and sit under your budget. But functional budget, you can see that if you have a challenge to get more budget directly, you can work with the function to push those functional budget. So, you can save something from your core operational or your initial investment and push that to the functional area. Accordingly, you can do. Also, since security is a very continuously evolving area, right? Suddenly something will happen and you may need to change your plan. So accordingly, it is always good idea if you have an entire year budget and then every quarter you relook what is the portion of the budget you have already utilized and again rebucket it based on your priorities in case it has got changed. If any new business or organization going through a merger acquisition, anything new is coming, again raise a request, using that opportunity, give that understanding to the finance and the people related to the budget allocation that why this is a additional requirement. And today, if you look at most of the board is very much aware about the cybersecurity and what kind of impact cybersecurity can have in the organizational operation, brand, and the regulatory compliance side. Don't give them a sense of horror. Give them a sense of protection. Show them the risks and how you are going to mitigate that. And also, as a CIO or CISOs, we also need to prioritize. Organization cannot give the entire world to us. So we need to prioritize our activity and accordingly we can try to back the best budget and give that.
Right. So if you remember some time back, couple of years or more than that, years back, Symantec CEO had said that antivirus is going to be passive. There is no requirement of antivirus. From our conversation, the way the sophistication is on rise, don't you see that the low-hanging cybersecurity solutions are no more of use to the enterprises, then the CISO should concentrate on the SOC kind of services, SIEM, SOAR kind of things, which are sophisticated. So that you can search a needle from the haystack. That means the vulnerability from millions of transactions that might be happening in your network.
So when it is coming to the technology related to security, if we go back to, even 5 years back, right, the kind of ecosystem we are operating within, that is evolved a lot. Within the 5 years, it is actually matured a lot, right? When it is coming to the maturity of the cyber security, it is not only the security which we are practicing within the organization. It is a combination of threat, vulnerabilities, attack portfolio, and the entire security portfolio of the organization. So it is maturing more. Your attack surface is continuously increasing, though we are trying to restrict it, but ultimately it is increasing because organization acquiring new technology, it's actually opening the door and spreading the business across the world. So you are actually expanding your attack surface. So to deal with that, obviously you need a sophisticated technology which can deal with that. But if you still look like, if I go 10 years, 15 years back, you need only an antivirus on your endpoint. Today you put EDR, you put DLP. So, I can see there is an agent pollution going on your endpoint, and your endpoint becomes slow. So obviously, with the time, technology providers also doing lots of research, and they are also sharpening their technology. Name of the technology change, but at a time, you may be earlier actually handling one threat with one technology. Now we can handle multiple threats using one technology. That's the only thing. For example, if you look at when initially, I would go back a kind of 16 years or 17 years back, you have a firewall sitting at your gateway. And that is actually start handling your segregation, all this. But after some time, you need a gateway antivirus. So what happened? They actually changed that box. And in the same box, they give the firewall, IPS, gateway antivirus, proxy. So that's how the technology is evolving. But it's like a single technology, consolidated in a way that handling the multiple needs of the organization.
Invention has always been one thing that came naturally to man. From the great ancestor of us all who discovered the wheel, we have been moving forward with each step of our evolution to build bigger and greater things. Monuments and pyramids to technological marvels, making sure we stay one step ahead of the world around us. At Finesse, we have reached an important milestone in that journey. What began with the wheel is now our evolution, with the digital transformation of businesses being the crux of the whole operation. Whether it be by improving aspects of robotic automation to improve workflow in the manufacturing sector, or developing artificial intelligence and chatbots almost ready to pass the Turing test, we can safely say we are at the cutting edge of what technology has to offer mankind. The man who built the first wheel would love to see what his invention has left us with. A path forward we climb in ways never imagined. For as someone said, if you're setting out to do something, do it with finesse.
Dr. Lopa, the other thing I need to understand also, there are two kinds of technologies evolving. One is predictive, another is reactive. So predictive is which are AI enabled, SIM kind of things, your SOC services. Similarly, there are other, react after the attack immediately deters, firewall antivirus and other things. Where do you see the momentum is going to be more now, on the predictive ones or the reactive ones?
See, it is predictive, reactive. Both are going to go hand by hand. The reason is you need both the capability in place. Because if you say that I don't want a reactive capability at all, what happened if something suddenly happened due to 0 days vulnerability or something, how we will actually handle that? So you need both the capabilities, detective, preventive. I would say detective, preventive, and even you need a focusing capability. What is going to happen in long term, maybe down this 3 months or something like that. That capability also we need to build. So it's a combination. You need to maintain all of them, at least at this point. But with this change of time, everything is going to change.
No problem. Okay. I got it. Now, while we started our conversation, we are discussing about compliance-based cybersecurity practice, also the ideal practice of cybersecurity. So how do you see, what should be the ideal posture for any organization as far as cybersecurity is concerned?
When it is coming to the cybersecurity posture, right? It's a very tricky question that related with this word ideal. I would say there is nothing called, ideal cybersecurity posture, because it is not a standard for every organization. Every organization is unique. One need to understand the business-related territory, and the kind of technology in place to support the business or business backbone. Accordingly, you need to look at the threat and associated threats posture, and then the cybersecurity posture for the organization. And I would not say ideal. I would say this posture should be capable to address the security need and privacy need of the organization.
All right. I think, Dr. Lopa, I have a final question to ask you. Many things are dependent on people knowing about cybersecurity challenges. In many organizations, people do not know, even though they know, they do not understand the magnitude of the attacks, the kind of damage it can done once it is attacked or the hacking happens. The employees, the workers, they do not know. It's a big challenge for the CISOs. Most of the CISOs, it's a big challenge because they are technology people. Decisions are taken differently on different layer. Marketeers rather, they take a decision on how to create awareness on the organization. What is your take on, what is your suggestion to the CISOs, how to take, ramp up the awareness things for the employees or the workers in the organization?
It's really a very important thing and very, very, challenging area till date. Because as you correctly said, that branding people, right? Actually, if you look at the CISO, there are lots of hats CISO needs to wear. One of the requirement is CISO need to build a brand within the organization where people can actually have a kind of trust relationship bonding. And to do that, you need to cultivate a risk-driven security culture. If we are actually till date going to talk about the strength of the password and related thing continuously, still people are not able to get that sense, that means there is a challenge. We are not actually cultivating that culture, rather than we just may drive a security awareness training and say, oh, I'm done from a compliance perspective. But considering today's cyber portfolio, attack surface, it is very important that we have a risk-driven security culture top-down, with the top-down approach. So there are basic security requirement followed by each of the function, each of the particular, individual within the function may be handling some critical data or critical technology, identify them, build a culture of security by providing them the role-based training or function-based training with a sense of risks associated with that. For example, if you say that if this is the data you need to classify and you need to maintain it, people are going to forget it. You need to tell them why this data need to be classified, and when it is coming to a classified data, if you are actually sending it out, what would be the replication related to that, how it is going to impact not only the organization and as an individual, how you are going to face the replication related to that. It's just an example. Same way, you need to identify those kind of thing. You may need to work with your HR, your branding people, or maybe some specialized service provider who can customize that with the culture of that particular country. That is also very important, because some of the culture takes some of the training disseminated in a very flat way, they take it very seriously. In some culture, you may need to re-articulate it in a different way. So you need to work on those areas to do that. Also, yearly drive may not work. You need to continuously build your brand by throwing some quiz, but not only the awareness training quiz, some bandwagon material, which is going to, maybe your poster, your some other gift kind of thing, which is going to help you on that part.
Okay, you are associated with two different regions. One is Asia Pacific, another is Middle East and Africa. Two regions have got two different kinds of industries. They say, for example, the Middle East represent a set of industries which is oil and gas, and Asia Pacific is known for its manufacturing and large industries. So how do you see from a cybersecurity perspective, and challenges are, both the regions are completely different. How do you see Middle East from a cybersecurity point of view? What is your piece of advice to the CISOs of that region or CIOs of that region?
So when it is coming to the manufacturing or oil of gas, I would say that, as a CISO, an individual needs to understand the risks and threat landscape specific to that particular industry. For example, if we look at the oil and gas industry, there would be some of the risks very specific to that industry related to IoT, robots, all this, or
OT technologies,
basically supply chain. You need to focus on that area. But what happens while people focusing that, when we just work on a threat landscape or cybersecurity landscape of a particular industry, but very specifically is focused on those areas. But while doing that, also don't forget the risks related to your enterprise, because your enterprise technology connecting to them, and those enterprise technology equally vulnerable. So you need to look at that area also. Look at reducing the attack surface. When it is coming to the OT, IoT, because they have a very less space to incorporate the security requirements. So you need to ensure that your command and control system have a kind of least exposure by reducing the attack surface. So that is one of the area. Another is sectorial compliance requirement. This kind of sector also have their sectorial requirement. You need to also look at that. And while doing so, for example, I just take the example of Indian industry. If I say that I'm automotive industry and I have a sectorial requirement and I am actually just complying with that requirement, so I'm done. No. You need to also look at the IT law, which is a generic law. You also need to look at the company law, the section talking about the technology risk management. So you need to look at overall perspective.
All right, Dr. Lopa, thank you very much for your nice way to explain the entire situation of cybersecurity. Thank you very much for taking time out and speaking to CIOTV.live.
Thank you all. I hope that I'm able to evaluate to the people who are going to, who are part of this web session today through my experience.
All right,
Thank you.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Dr. Lopa Mudraa Basuu, Senior Cybersecurity Leader and Advisor to Cybersecurity Boards in the region of Asia Pacific and Middle East and Africa. If you have any questions or query, please drop me a mail. My mail ID will be given at the end of this conversation. And in turn, I will ask Dr. Lopa to answer those questions to you. Thank you very much for watching this episode of CIOTV.live. Thank you.